Hey everybody, and welcome to the BronsCast. This is episode 9. We're thinking of teaming up with the Guitar Hour as well for their podcast, so if you're a Guitar Hour listener, hello. And I'm really excited about this podcast today because I've got a fantastic guest to interview today. So as you know, the podcast...
I think he's here, so we're going.
You can just hear the sirens going past.
They're on to me.
Yeah, okay, so we live in a big city. To be expected. Anyway, so the whole idea of the BronsCast is just to encourage people to be creative, be it with composition or with kind of whatever art form they're into. And today we're going to talk a little bit about the new industry. And so we've got Lee Wrathe along to talk to us.
Hello.
Hello, Lee. And Lee's a great guitar player, incredible guitar player actually. And
how do you know when someone says something to you like that? How do you react? How do you react?
I don't know. I used to get a bit embarrassed, but now I just learned to and say, "Oh no, you're wrong."
Yeah.
I've learned that's kind of bad manners now, and I just say, "Why, thank you."
Why, thank you. Why, thank you, David.
Oh, I can see this is going to be a right one. So, the cool thing that Lee's done is he's part of this kind of the new industry, I guess, of creativity with the advent of YouTube and social media and all that kind of marketing stuff. And so Lee has a really successful YouTube channels with loads of subscribers, and the bulk of, well, we'll get on exactly what he does too, but he does demonstrates gear products and so guitar products, and for that he has to create compositions. Bespoke compositions in a style of a certain place. So say if he's doing a Jimi Hendrix Stratocaster, he'll write a piece, write all the arrange the drums, the guitars, bass, keys, and then he'll play a piece in the style of whatever artist and whatever that is, gypsy jazz or whatever. And Lee's got an incredible skill for just distilling whatever the artist is and style. He can sort of come up, make a piece that sounds as if it had been played or written by that person, which I think is amazing. And he's making a living from that skill.
It's a job. Yes,
it's a job. He's making a living from playing and creating music. And as you know, on the BronsCast, that's the kind of stuff that I love, and I'd love to tell you a little bit more about what he does. So, before we get on to hearing all about Lee, just let me tell you a few things about the old industry. So the old industry model would have been, as a guitar player, you'd gig locally.
Yeah.
If your band became well known, you might gig in the next town, and then nationally, perhaps get a record deal. Record deal mean that the record company would lend you some money to record an album, and if it did well, they'd make lots of money. You'd make some money after you'd pay back
the royalties,
the royalties,
for your new teeth and your new hair.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and then maybe you might get signed to play with you might get a gig with a big act. So for me growing up, it would be David Lee Wrathe and Steve Vai getting that job and stuff, and or you get signed to Shrapnel Records, remember them?
You're one of those characters.
And that was kind of the way the industry worked back then, and it was a tough industry to get into because it was not many people in it. Lots of people got ripped off out of that, and it was kind of really hard. You had to make the right connections. And it was an elite kind of thing.
Well, obviously we're based in the UK. I'm sure there were people all over the world watching, but it was funny seeing guitar magazines with the Shrapnel Records kind of adverts and the artists. Yes. I mean, I remember doing that when I was like 12, 13, with the same agents, same influences, that kind of stuff. And then thinking, how do you get to that? How do you, not just from a guitar playing perspective, but how do you get there?
Yeah, exactly. It just seemed
especially in the UK. I mean,
it seemed impossible.
There were no labels in the UK that we were aware of who were doing that kind of stuff.
It's just a pipe dream, really. It seemed like out of reach. It felt like you'd have to be really lucky, or
get on a plane
or something, and live in Los Angeles on the streets with a guitar in hand. So that's the old industry, and part of that industry sort of still exists largely. And then this thing came out called YouTube. And everything kind of changed, really. So the new record industry and the new way of making money revolves less, to be honest, around gigging. Gigs, no matter what anybody says, it's getting harder and harder to make money out of original music now. But we have this thing, and all of a sudden, so YouTube came along, and then you had an audience.
Yeah.
If you're good enough and had the right kind of musical skills and chops, you could grow an audience and subscribe to your channel. And then crowdfunding came along, which meant you could cut out the record company and the fans. And so all of a sudden, it became more about connecting directly to the fans, which social media has really allowed us to do. And I guess you're part of that new model.
Yeah, I mean, and if you think about Apple and iTunes, that allowed us to be able to kind of really get into these little niche genres that we didn't even realise we liked.
Yeah,
and somebody somewhere has made this album, and it's spawned a new genre like gent.
Yeah,
all those kind of things
have
come about because of the internet, you know, and have grown in popularity as a result of it as well, haven't they? So, yeah, it's a crazy. Whereas in the past, someone would have had to have the vision and then the backing to create a record, and then that would have had to be passed around. I had bootleg copies of like Jason Becker.
Jason Becker.
Listen to this guy, and I'm like, oh my god, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Who is he?
Yeah.
You know, and then you have to kind of find a magazine. These days, it's just like Jason Becker, friend him on Facebook. You know.
I mean, yeah, exactly. And I think there's a lot of cynicism around now about how it's so we have to give our music away, or it's so hard to make a living now. It's a pipe dream. But I actually think the opposite is true. I think it's easier. Really, honestly, it's easier than ever to make a living from your passion now. If you find something you're good at, there's a way of connecting to find the people, even if it's something really esoteric or narrow niche. You can find those people out on Facebook.
It's harder to make millions. I think that's probably the key.
Yeah.
So you see someone like Steve Morse back in the day, probably making a lot more money from his records, and then the internet comes out, and there's
and people pirating
it. So he's seeing that side of the fence. I remember reading an interview with him about it, going, it's not so good for people like him from the old industry.
And I've met a lot of people from the old industry who find it really tough now because the field has really levelled, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I think now there's more people coming in, but I think
technology as well. So it allows it's allowed people to easily make videos and edit videos and capture decent audio and make backing tracks. And we were talking about it earlier, weren't we? Saying that you almost need to take another level up, another notch up.
Yeah, because anybody could record something on your iPhone in the morning and put it on iTunes in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And you'd have a thing out. Whereas now, I think because it's so easy to do, and computers account for more and more of the skill and creativity, means it makes it more accessible. Then you've got to do something really brilliant.
Yeah.
And I think we are seeing that. There's some bands I was listening to Nightwish, and their latest record, and their stuff that's coming out now is a million times better than the stuff they were putting out 10 years ago.
Yeah. Well, that's a band that's just kept on evolving.
Yeah, they just keep. Yeah, so it's really encouraging. So we should perhaps talk a bit about how you got into guitar first and stuff. So would it have been in the 90s? Would it?
Well, no, it was much earlier because my dad taught himself to play in the would have been mid 60s, late 60s.
Yeah.
Like that. So he had the Burt Weedon Play in a Day.
Yeah.
And there was obviously no internet, no books really other than that. And the guitar players then, I wasn't around, of course. I was just a twinkle in my daddy's eye. He was, people, if they knew something, they didn't really want to share it. It was like a special secret that they didn't want to.
Okay.
So he'd listen to Clapton records and Hendrix and try and work out what was going on.
Right.
It culminated in him being in cover bands, playing at working men's clubs, and I would go because it was the 80s. You were allowed in. You want a cigarette, kid? Oh, what? You could go into working men's club. There's no bottle at all. 2 pints. So I just used to. He was my first guitar idol because I'd watch him playing Clapton tunes and Dire Straits. Yeah. And then at home it'd be Clapton records, Zeppelin. There'd be Les Paul. There'd be Queen. Just a massive range of guitar players that were just seeping into my brain, if you like.
Yeah.
And then so I'd teach me how to play this. So I was 5 or 6. So I'd then learnt kind of the pentatonic scale, E minor pentatonic, and then some open chords. And that was me kind of set then.
Right.
Strum.
So was there a point where you kind of thought, this is the thing. This is the thing I want to do. And there was for me it was hearing sort of Passion and Warfare and hearing Steve Vai. All of a sudden it's like, this guy's writing the music that I've been hearing in my head. Yeah. It's almost like if I could write music, that'd be it. And
if you could be another entity, that'd be
him.
Yeah. Well, it's really interesting. So, wind forward a few years, and guitar's always been there when I go and play football, and then I play guitar again. And my dad was carrying on doing bits and pieces, but nothing serious. And there've been times when he would have had to sell his amps and his guitars to buy a new football kit or something like that, and then go get them back, join another little band for a bit. But it wasn't until I really got into Queen when I was like probably around about 11, 12, so I learned a few Queen songs. And then we've spoke about this loads of times. So many people. It's the Guitar Legends concert,
Expo 92 in Seville.
So I watched that. My next door neighbour, or my dad's next door neighbour, had the VHS copy of it. Knocked on the door, said to my dad, "Hey Tony, you might want to watch this. It's very good." So my dad starts watching it, and I walk in and go, "Oh, it's Brian May," and watched all the Brian May solos over and over again.
Yeah.
Then I rewound it to the beginning one day, and then watched Satriani, absolutely.
Always with me.
Yeah, Sash Boogie, Surfing with the Alien,
and then Steve Vai walked on.
And then but the first time I saw Steve Vai do his stuff, and he starts with like
For the love of God,
Greasy Kid stuff.
Oh yeah,
that E7 shot, and the melody was so out there to me that I was like, I don't quite get that yet.
Yeah.
And then I started. My dad had an Aria Pro 2 guitar. He still got it, and I learned to play watching Joe Satriani's hands.
Yeah.
All 3 songs from it, just kind of piecing it together. And I would come home from school. I lived across the road from school. I wouldn't hang around when I would come straight home, pot noodle in.
It's just the same as
pot
me.
noodle, Guitar Legends. Go back to school, come home from school, Guitar Legends. Just constant.
It's like
we just lived the same life.
I did the same thing. Well, what happened to me is I saw that gig on the TV. And then my electronics teacher had recorded it on video and gave it to me. And it was the same. I was just like, I don't believe it. And then the same thing, I'd never seen like two-handed tapping and all those crazy techniques. I was just like, because I didn't know anybody who could play that kind of stuff. It's like
there was nobody around that could teach you that stuff. This is still pre-internet for the vast majority of people. And I remember then once I got a grip on playing the Satriani tunes, and then it really made me realise where Steve Vai was at.
Yeah.
Seeing For the Love of God, and that whole, the way he built it was the first time he plays it live, isn't it?
Yeah.
The whole thing builds in this incredible crescendo. And it's a great concert. So I went out and bought Passion and Warfare on tape. And as you will have done as well, you're like, I bought like 5 copies because I kept wearing it, go to sleep at night.
My copy's here. It's just behind you. Look. The cassette, peeps. Steve Vai. That's an amazing coincidence. It's always close to It's got to be within 10 metres of my Passion and Warfare cassette, otherwise I can't.
I feel anxious. So then, my parents went away for the weekend, and they said, "Do you want to come with us?" No, I'll stay and play guitar. Well, we'll leave you some money in case there's an emergency, which is, we'll leave you £20.
Ooh.
So it was like,
that's big money.
Yeah, well, 1994, 93. And the first thing I did was get on the bus, went into town, went to the music shop and bought the Passion and Warfare book with this 20 quid.
Yeah.
And then just stared at it.
I daren't tell you I got my copy. Probably shouldn't say that.
Did you borrow it from the library?
I may have done that. Anyway, so the Passion, you just got this thing, but then you didn't go into music straight away. You went into
So I didn't do music at college. I read as many books as I possibly could on music theory.
Yeah.
Taught myself a lot. Taught myself to play a lot of stuff. And then that was, I never really thought of it as a potential career. I would dream of doing it. Incredible. I'd love to do it. I was starting to write music.
Yeah.
But I didn't think it would be something I could ever do as a job. And that mentality kind of it didn't leave me really.
Right.
And as I went into my 20s, you fall into family life, you meet people, don't you? Have relationships, and then they steer you in certain paths, or you steer them. And I ended up becoming a police officer. That was the job.
Yeah.
So, and it was literally a job. It wasn't a career.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like, I need to get a job. I'll do that. So I had a friend who was already doing it. Said, you'd be okay. You can talk to people.
Yeah.
So have a go. So I did that, but it was never. It was like the universe wasn't quite lined for me.
Uh-huh.
Do you know what I mean?
You
like
just
the soul
knew.
wasn't.
It's like
not quite.
I know exactly what you're saying. It's like this thing in the background always, because
Yeah.
all you think you'd be like at work, you'd be thinking, oh man, and you've got music bouncing through your head, or
And you think to yourself, surely I should be doing something with this.
Yeah.
Surely. And even then in my early 20s, I still hadn't found people around me that were doing similar things at the same kind of levels, if you like.
Mm-hmm.
And it's such a weird thing to know that you were in the same boat.
Yeah,
you know.
absolutely. There's a whole load of us. Probably about
Yeah.
half the people listening to this podcast.
Well, it was
who are
amazing.
guitar players.
Going to the Passion and Warfare 25th anniversary gig,
Which we went together, yeah.
and the whole place was filled with people our age had the same experience. It was just wonderful, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was great.
Just such a great. So, in the end, I think I'd almost given up on the idea of doing anything with my music other than just for me. So I'd write demos. So the demos that you've heard, some of those while I was with, while I was a police officer, just in my own time, and then figuring out how to beg, steal and borrow a PC from somewhere and figuring out how to use that, do those kind of things, and beg, steal and borrow equipment as well, because I didn't have any money and really didn't have the money to invest in equipment. So what happened was I made a little demo. Let's get this right. Made a little demo, and then I gave Steve Vai rolled into town in Nottingham, and I don't know what made me do it, but I waited all day. I wrote him a letter to say, this is how much your music has meant to me.
Yeah.
And this was not an email, it was a handwritten thing, because I wouldn't have an email address then, didn't even have a computer. Gave him, I met him, gave him the CD, gave him the letter, and then just watched the show.
Yeah.
And then it was like 6 months later, I got an email from him, just saying, it was basically, that'll do. Just don't do any more technical stuff. I really enjoyed track 7. And then now you need to really, just what I'm doing is really trying to get into each note and into each, into the meaning of every phrase, blah, 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 blah. And so that was just like... I can't
believe you've had a response from Steve Vai himself. I'm not saying, I don't believe you, I'm saying, I wish I'd had a thing from Steve Vai.
I need to send the letter, because it's typical him. You see it, the way how kind of zen he is, and kind of caring and insightful. Because what he was saying was, stop playing so many bloody notes, and just take your time and make each one count.
So that do you think that was like a turning point for you?
It was a big catalyst, because it made me think, I could do something.
I've got something here.
So when I went
sorry, just to jump in, but like we were talking earlier about the power of words. You know what I mean? Steve Vai, probably one of the busiest guitarists in the world. He's like
piles of CDs given.
He's taking the time to write you a letter, listen to your demo. I mean, that in itself is amazing, and just the power of those words has literally turned your life in a different direction.
I sent, because another thing happened with him a couple of years ago, which I've told you about, and I sent his web admin a message to say all of this has happened because of the words he said to me. Back then. So what I did is I took this CD. And I went to see the Roland guy, who was the guys at a local music shop. And I said, oh, guess what happened? This happened. He said, you used the Boss GT8 for that, didn't you? I said, yeah. He said, you should tell the Roland guy.
So Roland make guitar gear.
Roland make guitar gear. Roland the Boss, same company. Boss is the guitar brand. So they have sales reps that go to all the shops and blah, blah, blah. So I told the sales rep, hey, I used your GT8, this multi-effects, to record. I borrowed it to record this track, and Steve Vai said this about it. He said, "Oh, well, we need to get you one."
Okay.
So they said, "Well, they hooked me up with my own GT8," and that was another one of those moments where I'm like, "I've made it!" So I got my own gear.
So we've had this debate on the Guitar Hour. Actually, we've said, look. Do you think you were lucky? How much do you think was luck, or you made your luck?
I think there's a good proportion of making your luck. Because
I've sensed a butt coming.
Yeah. Well, no. I think there was always a little element of, because I bothered to make the CD. I bothered to wait outside for Steve Vai.
Right.
I then bothered to take the CD and go and talk to the guys at the shop. The luck element was I didn't know that the Roland guy, Boss guy, would be there at that point. So there was an element of chance about it. Yeah. Which, you know, you can't define it. And I suppose I could have gone down and they could have said, come back tomorrow because he'll be here. And I'd have gone, okay.
Yeah.
But it was just a chance moment. And I suppose there's always that look that from the piles of CDs that because he can't take them all with him. That was another thing I read at the time. He was getting loads of CDs. Yeah. If he's on a tour, how much extra stuff has he got to carry? So at some point he's probably got to go and maybe offload some.
Yeah.
Or give a few to someone, I don't know.
Yeah.
So there was a look that he went, I'll put this on while I'm doing my workout at the gym today. You know, and then had the time to do it. Because something else could have happened in his life at that moment. It was a crisis he couldn't do. So there's you make your own look. Because I think at the end of the day, you search, once you have something in your mind, your brain starts to look for those opportunities.
It's like when there's a new car out and you've never noticed it, and then all of a sudden you notice it, and then it's like you're everywhere. Yeah, okay, I like that. That's a good analogy.
Like you need a builder. You're desperately looking for a builder or a guitar teacher. Yeah. And you walk past the supermarket notice board and there's billions of cars in a caravan for sale, or if you're in the UK, or all of these different things. You know, joiner, carpets, all of this. But your brain spots guitar, or guitar or builder. It spots the things you need. It's the subconscious mind trying to fix the wants and needs that are within you. So I believe that. Yeah. So I think I was inadvertently, through the work that and time and effort I was putting in, making my own look. Yeah. So that's
so do you want to tell us what? Because you make a living now. You've obviously left the police a while ago, and now you make a living connected to your guitar. Explain a little bit about what it is. You want to give us a few more details of how that works?
Yeah. Okay. So I through the Boss stuff. Got a long story short, I became one of the UK Boss demonstrators. So I was kind of one of the stunt doubles for a guy called Alex Hutchins.
Yeah.
Incredible guitar player. He was doing loads of international work. The guys needed some people to come and do the local shows in the UK. It was me and a guy called James Roberts. James is still doing it. He's a brilliant guitar player. Lovely chap. And so really, luckily, got that gig. That's a funny story in itself, doing the interview, though I won't bore you with that. But yes, got sent all the stuff, started doing some shows there, started making the first gig I got was to go to Anderton's, which is a guitar shop in Guildford in England. Massive YouTube channel. I didn't know anything about YouTube at the time. YouTube had been around from 2006. Yeah. This was 2012. So I'm miles behind anybody. I wasn't even watching YouTube. Yeah. So I get there, and Rob Chapman, who is an internet sensation, really the catalyst of all guitar demos on the internet, have come from Rob. Yeah. 500,000 subscribers, something like that now. Rob, you should go check him out. It's very funny as well. He went, come in, Lee, right, come and show me this gear. You're going to be on YouTube. Is that all right? I was like, whatever.
Whatever.
I don't know what that means. So he's like, I've got 80,000. This is the time. I've got 80,000 subscribers. And I was like,
what's a subscriber?
What's a subscriber? I literally knew nothing. And he said, the analogy he gave me at the time, and it's very different for him now, of course. He said, more people watch my channel than the main channel in Sweden gets watched. And that was a real light bulb moment for me. And he said, you need to teach yourself how to make some videos. Right. So I literally went away enthused. That was a poignant moment, pivotal moment. Infused about it. Came back, and the only thing I had was my phone. So I started making videos using the footage from my phone and then proper audio and trying to splice them together with free software. And then set my own YouTube channel up and started making terrible videos. Yeah. Terrible videos. Fail. Just keep failing.
Still up there if you want to check them out.
Yeah, they are. Keep failing upwards. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Failing upwards. That.
And did that. And each time I made one, it was slightly better. And the computer that I was using, I tried to upgrade it and all that. And it culminated in basically Dawson's Music, which are an online retailer, but also a big bricks and mortar in the UK, approached me because they'd been looking for somebody who could present, who could demonstrate, play guitar, but who could also do the editing, do the whole thing for them. Yeah. There's a big trend towards actually gear reviews and gear demos, bringing people to the website to buy stuff, and that's the whole point a lot of the time of reviews and demos, to kind of you go to search. People don't look for things anymore in magazines. They go online. They want to see a video of their car, of their new wife. Do you know what I mean? It's that, isn't it? So it's the same with gear, music gear. So that's what they needed. They couldn't find anybody. They found people who could do each element really well, but they couldn't find anyone together. And really out of the blue, I got a message from them saying, "Don't know if you saw the advert, which I hadn't. Would you be interested in doing it?" And I said, "Yes, I'd love to, but I'd have to be paid this."
Yeah.
Fine. Because I didn't see my own worth to anybody else in relation to that. Just didn't. And they just said, "Yeah, that doesn't frighten us at all."
Yeah.
And so I had a little period where I did a bit of freelance for them so we could get a feel for each other, and started full time. And so the bottom line, the day job is this: I get sent. They decide which products they need doing for the website.
Yeah.
And obviously the amount of new gear that is being created all the time. So every year in January there's a big music show called NAMM, and there's all new suppliers are making all new guitars and all new guitar effects.
Yeah.
Range of products. So they are bought by the shops, and then they need a video to show how to use it, whether you should buy it, to let people hear it. So it's never ending, and they'd already got this thousands of products they needed doing. So they decide which products get sent to me. I then have to look at the product and go, right, it's a jazz guitar, so I will write an original piece of music that will suit that guitar. Because if I play a cover of a tune, then what happens is on YouTube you get the copyright.
So you've got to do an original thing.
Got to do everything original.
That must be pretty challenging. I mean, I know it's something I'd find really difficult, particularly having to do so many styles. I mean, my music largely is one style.
But it's very personal to you, isn't it? I said to you before.
It must be challenging to know how much time to give it.
Well,
I don't know what getting too much into, but
here's the thing, right? I don't have a lot of time because I think people will look at the job I do and think he gets to sit, play guitar all day.
Yeah.
But actually, it's just a tiny part. All of my videos are literally one take.
Yeah.
Because I haven't got time to go, I'm not quite happy with that second note I played.
Right.
I need to go back. And that's one of the hardest things for me to let go of, because it can be very brutal online.
Perfectionism would not work for you, would it?
Not what I'm doing there.
In that situation.
No.
I think that's a good message though, because I think a lot of us are crippled by a level of, if I just get it a little bit better, then I'll put it out, and then 20 years later, it's still not put out. I mean, I've heard somebody once say that the key is to finish stuff.
Yes, be a completer finisher.
Be a finisher, not a perfectionist. And that's something I've found personally as well. Really difficult.
There was a really good post on your Facebook page about that, wasn't it?
Oh, perfectionism is a social disease.
But there was also I think there was a video that accompanied the message that you just made.
Oh, I can't remember.
It's very good.
We're getting to the stage now where I've put that much stuff out. I don't know what I've said either.
I just don't know what I published anyway. But so I do. Yeah, some of the hardest things for me was to kind of let go of the perfectionism, and then be willing to be criticised for being, a bit rubbish on a particular.
And it can be brutal, can't it?
It can be, and it's difficult.
Internet criticism,
and it's there forever. It's not because it's not my channel. It's not I can delete it. It's just there.
Yeah.
So, that was a really hard thing, because if I look at the stuff that I put out for a supplier, like a guitar company that's mine, I'll take more time, because I know it's going to be scrutinised by guitar players. I'll make sure that I don't mess up too much. I'll at least give a couple of takes.
Yeah. And do you have any advice for somebody who might be listening to the podcast who's creating something, who is copying a bit of criticism for it? Do you have any strategies to deal with it? I mean, fine, if you don't, that's fine. But there've been plenty of times when I've had an inner turmoil about a comment that's really made me feel there was no need for that. You never say that to my face. You never come up to my face and say that. It's a bit like road rage in a car. People are so angry in the car, aren't they? But if they bumped into each other in the street, or they walked past you in the street, there would be none of that. Yeah.
That would never go on. And the only thing that I think has been good is that I've never responded. Mm-hmm. I have a blanket non-response policy.
Right. That's good.
I just don't get involved with it.
And if it's your waste of energy as well.
If it's your channel and the message is that abusive, just delete it.
Yeah.
It's the worst thing for somebody who wants to say, for me, it's the worst thing if somebody really wants to say something horrible to you, they want to get to you, or they want to rise, because that's the whole point about trolling, isn't it?
Yeah.
They want to get that rise, they want to enjoy the argument with you. If it's not offensive, but it's just really a bit nasty, a bit cheeky, just leave it. Somebody, you've got to hope that your audience will attack them, or just, they'll have the argument for you.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're right. I mean, there is an element of that.
Yeah.
Someone criticised a jumper I was wearing, on a video. I told you, didn't I? Looking back at it now, it probably is a bit like an old granddad jumper. But I was playing jazz.
Yeah. So, we talked a bit about turning point for you in your career, and now you're doing something like that's guitar related to your passion.
Yeah.
What kind of keeps you going? Because at the end of the day, like with any job, even for me, a lot of my job is creating music, but I do quite a lot of teaching as well. What kind of keeps you going when it feels just like a job, or do you not have just like a job moments?
Do you know, I do have, it's just like a job moment, but they tend to be when I've been waiting all day for a courier to come to take something away. But then I always remember the drudgery of my former life.
Yeah.
So it's all a relative thing, isn't it? You have to kind of go, yeah, right now it's not great, I'm not having the best day, but I've had worse days.
Yeah. And
I'll have better days. I think in terms of like enthusiasm for playing, that can be really difficult if your job is play, write music, play, and especially if I'm doing it in such a way that maybe isn't the most fulfilling.
Uh-huh.
Do you know what I mean? So I write a piece of music, I go, yeah, that's roughly the shape of country, and now I'm going to play something quickly that kind of fits that. But then I don't go afterwards, wow, I'm so proud of that solo.
I think plenty of people listening do though. When I hear your demos, I'm like, I can't believe it. It sounds like he's been playing gypsy jazz his whole life. Yeah. So
a little bit of me is like that, and you can tell because I don't very often share my own demos. Anyway, they go, hey, look at me. So it is almost like it's become a job again. So there are times when I have to kind of go, do you know what I need to make today? I need to be a bit more proud of what I'm actually playing today.
Yeah.
The bits that I get, a special feeling from are when little things happen. So getting the Ibanez endorsement and playing for those guys.
Get an Ibanez endorsement, man. Like
I
just think of sitting around, like hanging around somewhere, sitting. What would it be like to have an Ibanez endorsement? Ibanez, just for the guys who listen to the show who don't know who Ibanez are, like our hero Steve Vai and Joe Satriani and Paul Gilbert, all the big hitters play Ibanez, and so that link to be associated with that greatness. So yeah.
Well, it's by choice. You like to throw things out from wood.
Yeah. I do have an Ibanez Universe.
The greatest.
Anyway,
the envy of many people.
Sorry. Anyway, it's not meant to be about me. Let's go on. So that keeps you going. So I suppose do you have a sort of any? Are you a 5-year plan guy, or do you have an idea of where you go? I know I'm not a 5-year plan guy or a 10-year. I'm not.
If you'd have asked me about a week and a half ago, I said, no, not really. But I was having a bit of a clear out, moving a few things around at home, and I found an old notebook, only about 3 years old, and I opened it and I'd written in goals for the next 2 years, and one of them was Ibanez endorsement. Another one was to do work for one of the the online tuition companies like Lick Library or I'm gonna have to send.
Is this an exclusive we're about to hear?
I'll send you a screen so you know I'm not.
Yeah. Do it.
Winding you up about it.
Put it up on the website.
Definitely is the truth that I wrote those things down. And another one was to kind of be as good a demonstrator as Greg Koch.
Okay.
So Greg is, I think, pound for pound, I think he's probably the best guitar demonstrator on the planet.
He's incredible player, really entertaining.
He's incredibly
really engaging. Yeah.
He's a giant as well.
It's spelled GREGKOCH. Yeah, look him up.
Incredible player, incredible personality, and it's just so easy for him. It's just so easy. So it was, if I had someone to aspire to be like in my demonstration work, that would be it. So that was another one. So if you'd have asked me, a couple of weeks ago, I'd go, no plans. No. But it's funny because it's about, you always have those dreams, don't you?
Do you think it helps writing them down, or do you think you don't need to? They're just in, because you talked about you'd forgotten about the Ibanez endorsement, but you went ahead and sort of got that, which is incredible.
Do you know what? It's an organic thing. So the Ibanez thing wasn't me going, can I have this? This is the end of the Steve Vai thing, really, because I had to do a demo for the Ibanez Gem 77P BFP.
Which is the blue one.
It's kind of that kind of pattern, but blue and black.
Okay.
So it's like a reissue of this particular guitar. So I thought, right, what I'll do, it's a blue guitar, I will play the track Blue Powder from our favourite Steve Vai album.
Let's just say it one more time. Passion and Warfare.
Passion, Warfare.
People don't go out and buy that record after this podcast.
He owes us some money, doesn't he? Over the years. So I did that, and then normally I would just run through the pickups clean and dirty, and I'd just play a little ditty or something. Yeah. But for this particular one, I thought, this is Steve Vai's guitar. I've got to play a little bit of a Steve Vai track for each pickup selection on the cleans, and each for the dirty, and then I'll play Blue Powder. I'll do that.
Yeah.
So I did it. I made the demo, and then forgot about it.
Yeah.
And then the guys at Dawson's got in touch and said, Steve Vai's just shared that demo on his Facebook page.
Just right now, a little bit feels really pleased for him, a little bit me slightly hates him.
I was expecting such a backlash. On the comments, I was expecting because he said something like, really want to thank Lee Wrathe and the guys at Dawson's for doing a great demo of my Gem 77. Really enjoyed it. Seriously thinking about stealing your haircut or something like that, because I'd like a foppish haircut. S, he does the little S.
Yeah.
He signs off. And so I was expecting then comments going, this guy sucks. That didn't happen, thankfully. But what a great thing. So I got in touch with Andy Old, who's the guy who does all the online stuff for Steve.
Yeah.
Saying, oh, wow, that's amazing, isn't it? Thanks for sharing. Because he would have probably found it for Steve.
Yeah.
Have a look at this. And he's put this on there. I said, if you speak to Steve, tell him that the only reason I'm probably doing this job now is because of the words of encouragement he gave
after hearing your demo way back when. Yeah.
So it's a case of, even when you, I suppose, the lesson was, even when you think your dreams are pretty much, because I even thought I was too old.
Yeah.
That was the other thing. I'm 26 now. This is what 26 now. Nothing's going to happen for me now. It's over.
Yeah. I mean, you're not 26 now.
Not 26 anymore. 28. So.
Oh yeah.
But you know, it was a real. It was a real eye opener for me to think that you're never. It's never too late to have a go, and actually you can guarantee. You guaranteed to fail at your dreams if you don't even try.
Yeah.
But that's the reality of anything, isn't it?
So good. I just love the message. It's not. You're not too old to start, because I thought the same. Like the point I started going for my guitar career is when all my hair had fallen out. Like I used to have this amazing long hair right down to my waistline.
You'll have to share those.
Yeah, those pictures are out there. And so going bald, got a family, just thinking. But for me, I just hit rock bottom, and part of the thing that held me back is thinking, well, Steve Vai had started making it really when he was sort of 18, 19, Yngwie Malmsteen, Paul Gilbert, all our heroes. They were in the late 80s. They exploded, and here I've missed the boat. And I think, and this is a good way to round it up. In the new music industry, I think age and they're just not the same. It's not the same thing anymore. If you can find, I've got a face for radio or whatever, but the music is the thing that people love and are buying my record, which is based on a true story, back from our website.
I bought it. It's amazing. I have the T-shirt.
That's how we met.
Yeah. It was. I'll tell you exactly how it went. Jason Wilding from Wampler Pedals shared your post, or you playing. I can't remember what it was now. He just said, this album's bloody great, buy it, or something like that. So I went, oh, okay, I'll go and check it out. So I checked it out, listened to it, bought it.
contacted me.
Contacted you, so really loved it. I loved your story as well.
Yeah.
That was it, the story, because being on the Guitar Hour, you talked about your story, and that really rang a bell with me as well. There was the similarity of kind of going, do you know what? I need to make a change. I need to go for it. You did it.
That's really encouraging.
You did it even much braver than me, because I jumped from one real life pay-as-you-earn taxed job into another.
Okay. Yeah.
You have gone, no, I'm going to do this live without a net.
No money.
just shook yourself into it, and that passion's then led you to the success that you've had with that, and it will continue to blossom, I'm sure.
Oh, bless you. Cool. Right. Well, we're just going to finish off the podcast now. We're about 40 minutes in. We could honestly, me and Lee, we get on Skype and we could. If he rings me in the morning, I'm just like, I best not answer, because I know I'll be on the phone for another 3 hours, because we just love chatting. Anyway, okay, so a few questions for you, Lee. So, what's the first? Well, okay, in as short answer as you can, what advice would you give to the aspiring musician?
I would say, if you want to work in new media, and I think you have to. Unless you want to be... So let's talk about it from that perspective.
Okay.
You have to be more than a musician. That's just one element of your skill set. So I couldn't do what I'm doing now if I was just playing guitar or just making music. I'd have to look at video and video editing and being able to talk to camera. Those elements are really key.
And I suppose that goes for any creative. If you, some people listen to the podcast, being not musicians at all. Yeah, you've got to learn about marketing.
Yeah, and know your worth. That's another key thing.
Know your
worth.
Right
at the beginning.
Give us a quick explanation what you mean by that.
Okay, so it's really easy to do things for free, and I in many respects, I advocate it. I'll go to give a talk in a couple of weeks' time to students who'll say, "How do you get into this?" And I'll say, "Well, create a relationship and be prepared to do a few things for free, but don't do it forever, and make sure that people know that it is a favour that you're doing them, and not just this is how much I'm worth." So
you said something great earlier on. So one thing you could say is usually this would cost, I don't know, £150.
Yeah,
but I'm going to do it for free just so you can see my skills.
And you can pick your figure. You could say normally I'd charge £1,000 for this, but I'll do it for £100 because I really like you.
Yeah,
it's not an underhand thing, but if you just got to make sure that people understand that you're giving. And you can research
how much your time is worth as well. I think there's danger. I found that I don't value some of the things I can do, and people have to say no. You need. That's taking your time. There's expertise. You need to, and it can be hard. But I guess if you have a bit about find somebody in the industry or somebody who can help you put a price on it. Okay.
Yes,
that's good. That's top tip from Lee Wrathe. Okay, a bit more abstract now. What's the first thing you do in the morning?
First thing I do in the morning is coffee and a shower.
Okay,
that's definitely. And then walk the dog.
Walk the dog. Okay. So, what thing do you own that you should get rid of but are hanging on to?
Oh, my car.
Yeah.
It's the oldest car.
I love your car.
I love it too. That's why I saw it. She's worth £200. 15-year-old Rover.
I mean, you can't get 45. Rovers anymore. You're going for the vintage car.
Honestly, the amount of demo guys that turn up with a car that looks like a bin. That's just. Oh god, yeah. So yeah, that's probably. Yeah, it's probably it.
Okay, what's your favourite music or album to listen to? It can be ever or just at the moment.
Well, I'll do. But so ever. Desert Island has got to be Passion and Warfare.
Have
to be that. Do you know what? I'm having a bit of an old school time because I've just turned 40, so I'm kind of reliving stuff. Woo! Or, no. And I'm loving Flying in a Blue Dream.
Joe Satriani.
That is. Do you know? I forget how amazing the tracks are on that, and it's such a long album, so many tracks.
It's so good. That album.
It's so good.
I just remember they had an advert in Guitar Magazine. It's like all blue, and he was flying through with his guitar.
Yes.
I cut it out of the magazine and put it on the wall next to my bed. I just used to close my eyes. I'm flying. Oh no, let's not go.
Yeah.
Start reminiscing
it's
now.
other things. So there's a track on it called I Believe, which
the solo on that.
it's just gorgeous, isn't it?
I believe. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's why I'm a guitar
Can't
player.
change.
Yeah, that is one of my favourite all-time tracks for
Yeah.
Satriani. Love that.
So that's I'm kind of loving that in a minute. And you very kindly bought me Andy Timmons' new album for my birthday. So I've given that a listen. That's really good. That's like new Satch.
Yeah, the new
Very kind
thing
of like
he's
a
going
new.
for. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really really good. So there.
Cool. So this might be a tough one just to answer. What's your definition of greatness?
Oh, okay. My definition of greatness would be to make sure that you appreciate everybody. If you can take the time to appreciate what you have and the people who really know who you are and still love you, that's greatness.
I heard once a guy say, I want to thank all the people who have never listened to a note I've played and have never bought any of my stuff and still love me. I just thought that's kind of clever, because what he's saying is you don't care about all the famous stuff. You still, that's that's not who I am. That's stuff I do.
Yeah.
So that's insightful.
Oh, that's very good. Yeah,
that's very good. Okay, I like that. What was something you believed for a long time to be true until you found out you were wrong?
Oh, okay. I think we've probably touched on it.
Go on.
Which was the fact that
there's an age limit.
There's an age limit.
Yeah.
There's a point at which your dreams become null and void, and there's a point at which dreams just don't happen. I don't believe that anymore.
Okay, and if you had a time machine, would you go to the future or the past?
Oh, do you know, I had the same in a hot tub. The hot tub
I'm not sure
time
where
machine.
this is going, listeners.
I was in a hot tub time machine. So I was in a hot tub at the weekend. God, I sound like such a decadent individual. And someone said to me, if you had a time machine, would you go into the past or the future?
Uh-huh.
And I really thought hard about it, and then I thought the future.
Yeah.
In the end, because I can read about the past, but it's happened anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to go into the future and see what's to come.
Okay, good.
Don't ask me why. I might change my mind tomorrow.
Final question now to finish on. What advice would you have given to your younger self or your kids if you had any? What advice would you give them?
Right,
It's a bit of a cheesy question.
Keeping it musical then.
Yeah, go on then.
Music career type thing.
Yeah.
I would have got myself into YouTube at the onset. I'd have been
2006.
But yeah, then that was the best time to get involved with it. Or to always be on the lookout for the new
whatever the new thing is.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to embrace that. Always embrace change.
It's good advice. Good place to finish. So I hope you enjoyed the podcast, guys. Lee, where can they check out? Where can the people find you? Do we need to spell your name? I know it's going to be on the podcast title.
You can find YouTube's the best place. You can find me on Facebook as well. YouTube's the best place. You can find me just under my name, which is Lee Wrathe, Wrathe, and you can find me on Dawson's Music as well. Their YouTube channel.
So that's DAWSONS Music. Okay, right, guys. Thanks for checking it out. I hope you're inspired today by Lee's story, and just remember, whatever you're into, a new industry, you just got to go and do it. There's people out there who are looking for what you are selling.
Hell yes.
Cheers, Lee. Thanks for that.
Thanks, Dave.